Hi guys, it's the 30th episode of Promptsquad. Gosh, that feels a bit crazy to say, but here we are. And this month's prompt was suggested by Carter, and it is a custom suit of armour. I was really excited to see what everyone was going to do for this one, because I know that I personally had quite a few ideas when I first read it, and you're going to see by the second half of this video that so many of the Prompt Squad really was like, I am not going to disappoint with this one. So many creative ideas came out, and yeah, I'm really excited to show you. But I'm gonna start with what I did, which, I mean, I thought, oh, this is such a mind-blowing, such a creative idea. And then I looked on Instagram and saw that my mum did exactly the same thing. You know, great minds think alike, I imagine. But no, she did a really cool job of it, and I hope mine's different and interesting enough for this, you know, custom suit of armour idea. As you might know if you've watched my previous videos before, I can't help but, you know, add in some animal facts whenever I dedicate a piece of art to an animal. So, for the armadillo, you ready guys? So, I've got a few to choose from actually, because they're just really interesting creatures, and there's so many types of them too, so many different species. But one thing that I found especially interesting about them is that they have 4 identical babies in their litters. This is the 9-banded ones, by the way. I'm not really sure about the other species within it, but that just means, like, you know, the egg would split in 2, and then both of those split in 2 again to create 4 little baby armadillo clones. I mean, how cool is that? I can't think of any other mammal that I've ever heard of that does that. So you'll have to let me know if you do, and if you knew that, because, I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting tidbit about armadillos that I didn't know. So yeah, onto the art. So I was really struggling with this one, to be honest. I had the idea, and then I was like, oh, why was this so hard to do? And looking back on the footage that I took, I kind of think I know why. So I started off doing what I'd normally do. I did a couple of sketches, try and get a feel of, you know, how do you draw an armadillo, do you know what I mean? And then, you know, I kind of thought, well, I like this sketch, say, or I like this part of that sketch. I started piecing those together, going from there, started roughing out a composition, so I kind of knew, you know, is this weighted all right? Is everything okay? And then, I don't know what I was thinking, but normally, like, I would block out colours, I'd start doing that part, and I was like, no, I love drawing scales. I'm going to be able to draw 1,000,000 scales on this. Let's start with that. So I went super detailed right at the beginning, and yeah, it made so much harder. Like, the whole thing was so much harder to imagine the background and how to make everything work, because I went super detailed so early. I just don't have a big enough brain for what I was expecting of myself. So yeah, I'd be interested in knowing if you guys, as fellow artists, are in that regard. Do you start really simple and then build detail? Because like this, if you have any techniques for how to do it this way around, you'll have to tell me, because I was messing about so much more than usual just trying to get things to work by what I did this time. To be honest, I wasn't really that happy with how it turned out because of that. You know, ringing endorsement to continue watching how I did this painting, I guess. But yeah, it just wasn't really what I first imagined, and how I kind of imagined it in my head. I kind of need to keep my scale excitement in check, I think, going forward. But I did enjoy doing the pattern scales. I mean, I really wanted this to kind of look like a bejeweled armadillo. Not too abstract and colourful, but enough to make it feel like a magical creature, like it's just something new and exciting. Because I was struggling with the background, I brought in some other textures really early on in the process, I kind of began layering and then playing with the layer effects a lot, just to try and simplify it a bit as I went on and trying to get back on track with how my brain works, I guess. I think that kind of worked in some ways, kind of pushed me towards a more muted colour palette too, which I don't think I would have done if I'd kind of kept to my usual routine painting. So I guess there's always something that you can learn, even from, giant mistakes like I made here. Plus, I ended up reviewing those delicious ants that I drew at the beginning for the Armour-dillo and decided instead to change it into a dragonfly. Main reason behind that being that I actually went for a walk to try and reset my head a bit with this one. Give myself some fresh eyes and stop myself from just deleting it out of frustration because I didn't know what to do. And yeah, as I was walking, this massive dragonfly started following me down the street for a bit, and it was just really beautiful. I really, really like dragonflies, even though they kind of creep me out a little bit because they're so big. But I don't know, I love how they move and fly through the air. I know it's going to sound odd as well, I kind of like the fact that they're big. Even though I'm kind of scared of bugs, I like that they're quite big bugs. Maybe because I can keep track of them a bit easier. But yeah, this thing was maybe as big as a robin or a sparrow. It was quite a big bug. Plus, they make me think of lakes and water and the end of summertime, and they're just beautiful, aren't they? Especially when you get those kind of iridescent colours on them. I don't know. I think just the excitement about the idea of drawing one in a painting was enough to make me go, okay, let's finish this off, let's do it. So yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag for me, this one. In some ways, I do like it, but maybe that's more because of the story that I know it has now behind it. I kind of messed up, and then I tried to fix it, and then I went out, and then in the end it was okay, and it's just one of those things, I guess, that I really love about doing art regularly and having it saved somewhere so I can reflect and look back. Because each piece of art to me is kind of like a memory of the time that you made it. When I look at art that I've done over the years, I kind of remember, what was I doing at the time and how did I feel when I did this? And it's kind of like a time capsule in the image. I really like that about art. So yeah, you'll have to let me know if you feel the same way about your art that you create. Do you kind of look back and reflect on past work? Does it kind of take you back to the time that you made it? Kind of remind you of things? Kind of like a diary, a journal, within a sketchbook. I don't know. That feeling is something I really like about art, so you'll have to let me know your thoughts. Gosh, can you tell it's a Friday that I'm recording this on? Because I'm getting all philosophical here at the end of the week, aren't I? Anyway, I wanted to show you a bit more of the process behind this painting, so I'm going to play some music over the last few minutes, and then I'm going to be back soon with all of the wonderful Promptsquad entries that were made this month.
about this or hear this, that you used to go up on Mulholland Drive and park
every night
and visualize seeing yourself as...
Yeah, I would visualize,
This is when you were broke and poor.
Right, having directors interested in me and people that I respected saying, I like your work or whatever that is, and I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever. Drive home and think, well, I do have these things. They're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there. I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995. Just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million.
And that's my take on this month's prompt. I really hope you enjoyed seeing what went into it. Now, to look at the rest of Promptsquad's entries. First, we have Tara, who has taken the prompt as kind of like the first line to her own story and created this beautiful illustration from it. I love the two characters that she's made and how it's kind of kept to a blue and white colour palette. The lines and the colours together, they're so delicate. It kind of reminds me of like almost an illustration on a piece of porcelain. It's so gentle and pristine and perfect. I really just, I don't know, I feel like you can start writing your own story when you see a painting like this. It's like a moment in time captured, and yeah, I just think it's such a fantastic take on this prompt, Tara. Really cool idea. Next we have Emily, who's going that next step to prove her art skills and included a mini video of her work too. I love seeing how a piece is made. I mean, you get to see all the artists' like idiosyncrasies that they, make and what makes up their style really, and it's so much easier to follow and enjoy. So I really like that Emily included it with her painting of the warhorse. I think that my favourite part is probably the colour palette. I love these warm and grey tones. I'd say that these colours are the ones that I'd associate most with Armour personally, but her illustration kind of takes it in this new, like modern textured view, and I think that works so well with it. Troy also has this white, grey and red theme to his art, but he takes it onto this like Star Wars universe level, using pastels in a traditional piece. I love how smooth the blending is and that splash of red that cuts across the character of the stormtrooper, and it kind of matches it to the background in this really lovely way. It's like, here's the symbol, here's the art of the stormtrooper, but then you've got this clean robotic look of the stormtrooper being splashed with something natural and earthy like the blood. I just love the way that this is composed. I think it's a really beautiful mix of composition and storytelling. Sean mentioned that he created this piece just before the deadline, and that has me so speechless, Sean, that I think I'm going to struggle to make a comment. I mean, I almost don't really want to believe you, Sean, because this is so stunning. I love ancient Egypt, and seeing Sean's take on the characters and illustrations in his own style, like this kind of modern futuristic style, turning into his own vivid character, it's just so vivid. I really love it. Really cool piece. Twyrob stole my idea. God, I feel like I'm going to end up saying that every time. It's going to become like a meme on this. But no, I am actually really glad to see it because I love her version of it. And it really shows that even you can take the same prompt, the same idea, you can create something that's so bespoke and unique to yourself. I love that she used a mixture of watercolours and embroidery to create this really gorgeous, colourful interpretation. Kind of makes me think about like Aboriginal art in a way, with all those colours and patterns being brought in. Plus I loved that we had the same idea in a lot of ways. It's like, it's almost like we're family or something. Dave threw me through a loop again this month because I really was not sure if he was doing digital or traditional when I first saw it. These blending, these natural brush textures that he's got in his art now. Yeah, I don't know, I just think that this illustration of this adventurer ladybird is so exciting. I love to see him do some kind of storytelling art like this. I also like to think that there is like tribal faces that she's drawn on her spots, like to deter all her like enemies. She's tough like this, I guess. I don't know, I just think it's such an exciting character. I really like thinking about this one. Yeah, I love it, Dave. I knew Carter was going to make something fantastic for this prompt, as not only did he suggest it, but If you follow Carter on Instagram, which you should do, and all our wonderful members of Promptsquad, they're all down in the description and on screen, then you are going to know as well that Carter is also a great craftsman as well as an artist. He's got a really good eye for armour in particular. I love that Carter revisited the Mandalorian armour and gave it his own spin, as well as the painted helmet. I'm not really sure if you've watched it, Isaiah, but it really reminds me of Sabine from Star Wars, you know, the rebel graffiti artwork that she does on her armour. I really love that. That's my headcanon that, you know, Carter and Sabine have got this link. Anyway, finally we have Farrfotos, who has, as always, got this really clever and current take on the prompt. And I like her ode to like the COVID vaccine and vaccines in general. I don't love the idea that illustrating a vaccine is the ultimate protection, the ultimate custom suit of armour to have. It's just such a good idea, and I think that Farrfotos did a great job illustrating that take and that concept in a way that's so vibrant and joyful. Like, it's really bright and colourful. I really like the design of this one. It's such a good idea and execution, Farrfotos. And that is everyone's piece for this month. I am so glad that you all have given me the opportunity to feature them. We've got so many wonderful artists in this community who are always going like above and beyond what I could ever expect for these prompts. I mean, it's amazing that you guys create this every month, and yeah, I really hope that if you've been watching, you've seen their art, that you give them a follow and you check out what else they make, because they do so much more than just Promptsquad, and there's loads to enjoy. And now, to choose next month's prompt, I've got the spinner wheel ready, so let's see what we get. Remember, if you do have an idea for the wheel, write a comment to us and I'll make sure to add it to the next wheel spin. And the next prompt is... Finally, Farrfotos! Okay, I feel like this one has been on the wheel since day one. Right, it's keeping connected as a prompt, which after this last year, and like you mentioned about the vaccines, I mean, this has probably been the most important and often difficult thing to do for the last year. It's a broad one as well, which I think often makes some of the most interesting prompts. So I hope you guys are excited for this one and have some ideas already brewing. If you would like to join in with Promptsquad and have your art featured in next month's video, all you need to do is create a piece of art inspired by the prompt Keeping Connected. Any medium, any style. Just create a piece of art that's unique to you and your interpretation of this month's prompt. If you make sure to add that hashtag Promptsquad to your post, I'll make sure to include it. The deadline will be on the 1st of October, so get sketchy. I'm thinking the next prompt for October is going to probably be a best of Inktober kind of thing like we did last year. As I'm not really sure I'm going to have the energy to do 2 challenges, so I'm not going to be cheeky enough to force you guys to. It's going to be great to see what everyone does for Inktober anyway. I'm really excited for it, especially after seeing the prompt list. I think it's going to be a really interesting month. I hope you all enjoyed this month's Promptsquad though, and that you all are going to have a wonderful month getting ready for Inktober, getting going, because I can't wait to see it. Take care of yourselves. Bye!